Something I've been very curious about through our conversations over the last couple of years is something that I personally feel is kind of in everybody's minds, but not everybody's able to always ask it, which is that a lot of people attend satsang regularly, right? Either because they've done it out of habit or they've done it because their parents have asked them to, and then it's become something they carry on with. For whatever reason, people come. But it's not always the case that just by coming to Sabha or just by coming to Mandir, we pick up kind of things that we need to make ourselves feel like we're in satsang. I don't know if that makes sense. So like there's attending satsang, and then there's actually like in experiencing the benefit of it.
100%.
And something that's always I found interesting is that you found a way to communicate what it is that satsang is trying to have us experience to people who are not necessarily in satsang in the traditional way. Right? I think maybe they're experiencing satsang in the more kind of definitional way of good company, right? They're keeping good company of sadhus like yourself and Mahant Swami Maharaj, and whenever they get a chance to meet him. And from that good company, they're picking up things. And I think that's something that I wanted to explore with you, is how is it that we can make a little bit more effort in each of our ways to kind of experience the actual positive impact of satsang's ideas. So that's kind of what I want to explore.
Awesome.
And I'll kind of let you set the pace because you're the one who's got the experience here. But I guess we could start with, what are there, of all the different types of people that you meet in your satsang journey, are there some key principles or are there some key thoughts that you find resonate with a lot of people?
No, it definitely does. And it's nice how you mentioned where you experience or you feel that satsang. And there's actually a prasang of Akishwara that we can talk about after that you just clicked in my head. But in terms of different messages that have resonated with a lot of these individuals that through Swami's Daya that, I've been connecting with, you hear what Mahant Maharaj says quite a bit, right? Dasbhav, humility, mahima, seeing the good in others and understanding their greatness as well. Those are concepts that everyone that I've been speaking with, it's resonated so strong with them. Some of whom it's like changed their perspective of the way they interact with others, the way they interact with their family, change their perspective of what they want to do. In terms of like, some of them are so successful, they have visions that I want to help society in this way or do this or do that. And it's kind of shifted their perspective of how they want to help others. So a lot of the concepts that we learn about, that Surat Parno, Samp, Mahima, no Abhav of Gun, those are all that have resonated extremely well. And honestly, for a lot of them have been game changers yes, they're successful, whether it's an athlete or an executive or whatever, but more importantly, everyone just wants peace. They're looking for shanti. And these concepts have brought shanti to their life in a different way that they haven't experienced before. To the point that, one of them is a very well-known agent, and he was instrumental as well in bringing some of these sports players to come meet Mahant Maharaj in 2023. He also, right now, one of the biggest names in basketball is Victor Wembanyama. He's also the agent of Victor. Very well known. Big companies like Nike, for example, they consult him because of the athletes that he has, but the vision that he has, and very humble himself. And just a week ago, I'd mentioned to him that I'm currently in India with Mahant Swami Maharaj, and I'm praying for you and your family. And he messaged back, he goes, Swami, I hope to meet Mahant Swami again. He goes, because the first time when he met Mahant Swami Maharaj, which was in Robbinsville 2023, he asked Bappa a question that how can I unify my people? He's very big again on helping his community. So he wants to help his community in Africa. And he asked Mahant Maharaj this profound question that what can I do to unify my people? And Bappa at that time told him, understand each other's mahima. All right, greatness. And he texted me that. He goes, I still remember his words of wisdom every day. Now, if it's not having an impact, then why would he remember it every day? But he goes,
or could I say the opposite too? It's like because he remembers it every day, it's
100%.
also having an impact.
100%.
And that's one of those things. It's like sometimes you can attend satsang on a regular basis, you can listen to katha, but until you're not making the effort
Yes.
to kind of take even a little kernel of it
Yeah.
and like do it repeatedly. What I mean, we talk about this idea of Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyas,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
to listen to things, but then also
100%.
to repeat them and try to imbibe them.
Yeah.
So here's this person that from one perspective, nobody would call a satsangi,
Yeah.
right? If we get caught up in titles, you wouldn't
Correct.
consider them a satsangi, and yet they took a moment of satsang with Mahant Swami,
Yeah.
and they've kind of, because they've thought so much about it, and
100%.
because of what that innate power is, they've kind of seen it impact them. So sorry, I
Huge
interrupted
impact.
you,
No,
but
no, you're great.
how did that go forward?
Yeah, no, huge impact. And as you mentioned, you wouldn't call him a satsangi, but he himself then did Sampark, right? So he told his players, like when Rudy Gobert came to meet Mansai Maharaj, when Tony Parker came to meet Mansai Maharaj in Robbinsville, he was a big reason to that. And he told them that, and he wasn't ashamed of saying it. He goes, I cried, right? He goes, it was such a powerful experience with Mansai Maharaj. He had tears in his eyes. And he explained to these individuals, these athletes, that you have to come meet Mahant Maharaj. So again, as you said, he's taken that one kernel, that one gem, and has thought about it so much. Even though it's 2023, it's 2026 now. 3 years later, unprompted, he texted this to me, right? And exactly right, that I'm thinking of other people's greatness, and that's helping me unify people. So you see how these powerful messages of Bapa are directly impacting their life and helping them.
And you're saying he was applying that to some mission he has about his community, you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. So he has a nonprofit called Why Not Me. So his goal is to help everyone, no matter what their economic or social status may be. So in his village back in Senegal, he knows everyone. Doesn't matter if they have money, doesn't have money. And so his foundation is about helping everyone and bringing them together. And so when Bapa told him, understand each other's mahima, understand each other's greatness, so he makes it a point to talk to everyone in his village and understand their mahima. When the World Cup was happening 4 years to this year, because it's happening right now, or it's going to happen this year, he created a mini World Cup for the kids in his village. And he's brought sports players to his village because of his relationship with them and made an incredible experience for them, something different. But again, because of Swami and telling him this, understand each other's greatness, it's elevated his thoughts of how he can help his community, his just circle that he has, and it's helped in great ways. But I think more importantly, it's given him more shanti, right? As Bapa has said, "In the joy of others lies our own." It's given him more joy by understanding their greatness.
Doesn't he have questions like sometimes we do? You know, like when people tell us, think of other people's greatness,
Yeah,
we always get kind of caught up in quote unquote reality. Like, like, no, but I can tell this guy's not great.
yeah,
Like, why do I need to think of his greatness? And we come up with these 100 reasons to
yeah,
take these thoughts and kind of devalue them.
yeah,
But here's a person who didn't let those thoughts get in the way
yeah.
and started practicing it. And he's
100%.
now experiencing the full value of it.
And different players see that as well. So in kind of going through these different sessions of mindfulness and meditation, it's not like they need mental health or they have a mental health issue. It's just they're willing to take a step forward in their mental peace. So many people that do it, it's just they want to become better. They want to get more peace. They want to be better human beings. And so with some of these athletes, one of the steps that we talk about, again, it's all satsang that is explained to them. And one of the steps is seeing good in all people, right? What Bapa tells us, no above, but again, mahima. And on this sports, we see it as a very physical sport, but sports is a lot more mental than physical. And so, especially before big games or playoff games or championship games, you see it, what's said on social media, players trying to get in each other's heads. They're trying to get that mental edge over the other player. They
The
know
media is saying something,
exactly.
the fans are saying something.
Exactly.
There's some trade rumor going on.
All these things that are trying to get the player, they're physically great, they're super talented, but they're trying to mentally get them out of the game so they can't focus. So they can't perform at the optimal level that they otherwise would be able to. And so one of the steps that we've talked about is see good in the players that talk bad about you, right? Or see good in the media that talks bad about you. And they love it, actually. It's something that they never thought about. Obviously, it's what we learn in satsang. But in doing that, then when they're on the field or on the court and this player is trying to get into their head or trying to mentally distract them, instead of getting frustrated or agitated or upset, they're thinking of the good of that player instead. So that player is not able to mentally take them out of the game, but in fact, he's thinking more positively of him, allowing him to be more present in the moment. So they're taking satsang concepts and allowing and using that to not only perform more optimally in the game, but even everyday life, applying that home, applying that with their friends, with family members.
And like from what you're saying though, what I'm kind of picking up also is the reason that those satsang ideas are able to impact them positively is because they have a very clear purpose driven approach. So sometimes the sentence that I'm sticking with is you kind of said early on that they can all be great leaders, whether it's on the court, off the court, whether it's in the office or on whatever, in the business or whatever, but they want to be better as human beings. And the other thing you said is they want happiness and they want peace. And I think what I take away from that, interestingly, is if you can sometimes take things like the effort of being objective or the effort of being the analytical person, or you can take the face of trying to protect yourself from being taken for a ride. Like I think a lot of the ideas that stop us from taking on satsang's ideas come from insecurity, right? So it's like, no, but if I only look positive about things, then someone's going to take advantage of me. And so as a moment of defense, I will not only see the good things in other people, I will always look analytically to see what's the chessboard and where's the game, because otherwise I'll be taken advantage of. Now, if your entire paradigm of living is defense, right? And it's not constructive, then you're not able to take these thoughts on positively.
Correct.
And maybe in some of these cases, what you have is people who are coming into a new environment open-mindedly, and with this clarity of purpose that I'm not so worried about being taken advantage of or being insecure or having this defensive mechanism. I want to work constructively to become happier, more content, and those things. I think that's a lesson that I take away from what you're saying.
100%. They're striving to be better human beings and striving to have just more peace of mind. And because that intent is very clear, these steps that Bapa teaches us, gun gran, seeing good, etc., not finding above of gun, they're golden gems for them, and they see the direct impact in their shanti by following these things. So when I do speak to them, we kind of go through small homework assignments, because you can't just change the way you think overnight.
I want you to walk through that if you can.
Okay.
Like, what is there like a staircase? And of course it can be different for everyone. So we're not trying to put out some like, here's the master satsang plan or anything. But
definitely.
But like practically, what are the levels, or what are the ways that you kind of talk through this over time with different people?
100%. And as you said, it is adjusted, but the beginning is kind of like prapti, but Bapa mentions every day do 50 minutes of prapti. Now, obviously, for these individuals, they're not, all of them are non-Indians. But it's kind of explaining prapti in a different way for them. So gratefulness is a form of prapti. And whoever they might believe in. One thing for sure, all the people that I've talked to through Swami's Daya, they all believe in Bhagwan. And so prapti also connects with them. Because when I ask them, what are you grateful for? In one of the big opening sessions that we do, they inevitably mention three things. They mention God first, family, and health. These are three things that I would say 99% of the time are always mentioned. And so beginning is kind of really understanding what we have. Many times we're in a race of going for things we don't have. We forget what we actually have. And that's what Bapa teaches us, right? That if you love what you have, you already have everything that you need. And that's prapti. If you truly understand कि आपने कौन प्राप्त थયું છે, then you're not going to let what happens day to day distract you from your peace, distract you from your goals, or the path that you're on, because you understand the bigger picture in mind. And so prapti is one of them, gratefulness. Then another step we talk about is not letting circumstances, situations take you off of your path. So it's kind of understanding that everything that happens is a blessing or it's an opportunity. You may not see it straight away, but start looking for that. So then whatever situation you're going through, whether it's a really intense business meeting or whether it's a game where you may not have performed well, or whether it's a game you're going into and you're worried what's going to happen, if you apply these different steps, then you're able to realize that, hey, it's going to be fine.
But how do you do that? Like, how do you change that mentality?
So I kind of walk them through. So first, with the first step, it's kind of helping them attempt to every day write down 5 things that you're grateful for. And
Every day.
every day, and whatever you write the first day, you can never repeat.
Wow.
So it's there to push their mind to start seeing things they haven't been focusing on.
So if you do this for a week, that's like 35 things you have to be grateful for, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't repeat them.
You can't repeat anything. You can't repeat anything. And it's thinking of, usually you focus on the big things, but it's helping them understand there's infinite small things that Bhagwan has given us. But because we're focused on big things all the time, or majority of the time, we forget to see the small things that honestly, there's billions of people in this world that don't have. But when you see what Bhagwan has given us, it gives a different level of peace and satisfaction.
And a lot of those quote unquote big things are really just like objects of competition, right? Like, so
Most of them,
so they're
yeah.
not even really actually
Correct,
big. They're like
correct.
inflated in value.
100%. And it helps them realize that the biggest thing that I should be grateful for is my peace, is my happiness. And so let me strive for that, because the more they start seeing that list get bigger and bigger and bigger every time, they start realizing that I am blessed. Look at all the things that I do have that I haven't been focusing on. And it really shifts their perspective. And it makes them more positive. It makes them more grateful. So that then helps with them seeing good in all situations. That a situation may seem bad, and I stress the word seem, right? Because many times, I mean, we all know in Satsang we've talked about Bhagwan is only here to do good. Bhagwan je kare sara mate ch kare. Right? You've also heard ke shuri nu do kate matari de, right? That it might seem big, but actually Bhagwan's only given us that thorn prick. He's the one that's protecting us, guiding us. But because we have our preset mindset, it has to be this or has to be that way. And so it's kind of helping them see this, that, hey, don't be focused or wedded to the result that you're looking for. Just enjoy the journey. And so help them understand what Bapa says. Do your best, leave the rest. Put in your best effort.
That
pray.
Mahant says that a lot.
100%.
Yeah.
Right? This is another big one that I mentioned to them they really enjoy. That because some of them initially are focused on results, stats, winning that championship, winning that award, or whatever the case might be, that they don't enjoy the journey. They're so stressed, so worried. But when
That's something I've never actually thought about until like we've had this conversation, because I'm not from that kind of you know, sports background, clearly. Like, the most I've done is like football in high school, right? But like
neither have I.
so, but like the fact that so many of these things, even for the sake of presentation, are numeralized or like or made into mathematics.
Yeah.
I never imagined how that translates to pressure for the athlete, right?
100%.
Like when you've got 100 microphones on a court and you've got, you know, computers and lasers scanning motions of
analyzing
and analyzing every single thing that turns into something.
Yeah.
That's just more and more ways of being judged, right?
Correct.
As a player, that's
Correct.
just like more and more judgment.
Correct.
So it's an interesting thing that you brought up, that they have to like step away from all of that and be like, no, there's something here that's more sacred. So you mentioned the homework about gratitude.
Yeah.
And then what's the homework to be like, every situation's going to end up okay? Like whatever happens will be okay. What's the homework for that?
So when we kind of start that part, I kind of ask them, what's a moment that you thought was bad in your life? And it could be anything. And then I kind of push them. Okay, well, what was good in that situation? What's something that you may not have thought in the moment, but you look back now and you see that because of that moment, actually, I had this benefit. And then I had this benefit. Then I had this benefit. And it really starts opening their eyes and realize that, you know what? That wasn't that bad, actually. In fact, a lot of good came out of it. So I kind of put them through situations that they themselves thought was bad and see the good. And so then I tell them that every day you take one situation, it could be the same one over a course of days, and find 2 or 3 good things. So it kind of shifts their perspective a little bit to help them start seeing that, you know what, this moment that I'm currently in, my mind is trying to make me think it's bad, but it's not. All the other moments that I thought previously were bad, they actually were really good for me. So let me have faith in Bhagwan as well. Let me have faith in Bapa that this moment is good for me. Okay, I don't see it yet. But in my mind, I do know, though, I have that shanti. Kya sarut che, I'll understand later though. But you have that peace, which is important. And it helps them, right? They're not, when they're going into the game, they're going to the game. I mean, I've gotten calls with some players saying that, Swami, I'm in the locker room, give me a quick 2 minutes, right? Or Swami, I'm going to this game, I have this thought in my head, what can I think instead, right? And it's helped them. They come out of the game and they're so happy. Like there was this one player, he was a lottery pick and he just wasn't performing that well at the beginning, and just told him to just relax, just go on, smile, enjoy. When you're shooting that ball, one of the things I tell them, that when you're shooting, no matter what happens, whether it goes in or not, it was good. Because otherwise, in that moment when you're playing in that game, if you're analyzing in real time, how come that shot didn't go in? Well, you're already behind on defense, right? Yeah, when there's a timeout or the coach gives you a breather, yeah, analyze what happened. When that game's going on, you can't analyze. You got to be present. For you to be present, you got to be positive. So whether that shot goes in or not, I'm happy.
I think it's an interesting way to just step back and think about it. Is like when we were learning about European history in high school, you get introduced this idea of the Renaissance man,
Yeah.
right? And every culture, including the Hindu Sanskriti, has this concept of people like these rishis who are able to do multifaceted things. They weren't like hyper specialized in one thing. They could do every number of things, right? And but what's interesting is in any one moment you can only be one thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that is something I think that's really key. Like for that basketball player. On the court, be the player.
Yeah.
Don't try to also be the coach and the statistician and the journalist and and everything else. And that kind of for like everyday lives, right? For like if it's for me, it's like in my own in my puja, I have to be a sadhak. I can't at that time also try to be, planning my day for seva.
Yeah.
Like no, you're just in that moment to be that bhakta and do that. And so it's like, or if it's for somebody at home with their family, like dad time is dad time. Then you can't be the boss and you can't be the manager and you can't be this and that. Living kind of in that moment with integrity kind of really carries. So you start off with these thoughts and you give them some homework, and then how does it build from there?
So from there, then we talk about seeing good in people, especially for a lot of these guys that are athletes, or even whether they're executives in different companies. They feel that pressure that, oh, this guy's trying to take my job, or this guy's trying to overstep me, or am I going to get cut or not? Or on the court, this guy's always in my ear, so I can't perform because
it's like Shalya in the Mahabharata.
Basically, right? They're distracted, right? And you see it. You see players have unnecessary roughness penalties, or you see players uncharacteristically have turnovers. That just shows they're mentally not there. Their mind is distracted with something. And so allowing them to be more present is in those players that are trying to distract you, or in that person that you feel uncomfortable around at work, in the work environment, or whatever it might be. See good in that person.
Can I just, I don't want you to lose that thought, so hold on to it. I don't know if you need to pin it somewhere. But that's actually a very interesting thing that I'm reflecting on from what you said is like, you look at an athlete, and I don't mean you personally, but like people, all like fans, let's say, they look at an athlete, and when they see behavior that deviates from that player's norm, they are so eager and quick to judge it as a symptom of something, right? So it's like, okay, like you said, more turnovers than normal, or blah, blah, blah. And you're like, he's distracted. His mind is somewhere else. We don't do that to ourselves, do we? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're right.
Why have I been so nagging today?
Yeah.
Or why have I, had a few more conflicts at the office than I normally do?
Yeah, yeah.
Or, why do I feel a little bit more down than I usually do?
100%.
What inside the compass here and not in the externality is causing it, right?
Pratham 38, right? Analyzing that merchant's balance sheet, right? Analyzing, that what were my accounts yesterday, what were my accounts today, and the same are our swabhavs, right? All these things they're saying. Unfortunately, we don't do them on a daily basis.
We'll do it as fans of sports people, but we won't do it for ourselves, like to help ourselves.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So you see that these guys are kind of, they feel that pressure.
Yeah.
And so then you tell them.
So we kind of go through. So initially, some of them even kind of like, what are you talking about, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's different for them. But as they start doing it, they realize that,
Yeah,
wow,
how do you look at a rival
yeah,
and think of him as like,
yeah,
oh, you're awesome? Like,
basically, right? So sometimes we even go through that. Okay, you're playing this team. I want you to find good qualities in each of those players, in the coach, right? So no one on that team can get into your head when you're out there.
hmm.
But the beauty of it is then they start applying that outside of sports, right? Because they see the impact, they see the shanti that they get from it. And they want that shanti not just on the court or the field, but everywhere. And they slowly start trying to apply that at home, at work, or wherever it might be, social settings, and so that they're able to maintain that peace wherever they are.
So like the homework for that is basically to spend some time and think of a couple of positive things of
Yeah,
all the people in your sphere,
yeah,
whether that's the
basically,
family or the workplace or whatever.
exactly.
So then your relationships with them or your interactions with them
Yeah,
are dictated by those thoughts instead of the negative ones, right?
basically, Gungrag Drashti journal
Yeah.
that we talk about, right?
So
And
if I'm going to work, I should probably like take the 6 cubicles around me and have at least 3 good things to say about them.
you should
Yeah.
honestly, because that's only sometimes we think, what's the point? But when you do it, you start realizing it changes your perspective. Because typically, it's unfortunate, but when we look at people, we tend to see the bad instead of the good, even people that we love,
Hmm.
right? It's like those pet peeves or things that nag at you that you remember. You love the person to death, but it's like, man, why do you do this or why do you do that? Like, it's that what keeps coming up in your mind. Well, if you start doing gungrahan, your perspective shifts.
Hmm.
Instead of having the negative just jump out at you, the good starts jumping out at you. And all of a sudden now the same person that you didn't necessarily like, you're thinking very highly of them.
Hmm.
And the way you feel around them, the way you think around them, all of that changes. So now not only are you enjoying yourself, but your interactions with that person are so much more genuine and sincere that that relationship is enhanced.
Because and that relationship gets enhanced because not always, but often, that person's then behavior changes too,
To you, yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because instead of scowling at them, you're just naturally frowning at them.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, instead of
Smiling,
smiling
smiling,
at them,
yeah.
like that natural kind of change of aura
Yeah.
gets reciprocated.
You feel it, right? When you're around somebody that, like as they say, you may not even know that person, but you kind of, man, I feel bad vibes,
Yeah.
or I feel good vibes, right? So
And you know what? So much of it isn't. I mean, so much of what we go through is like in our heads, right?
it
Like
is, it is.
once you get it fit in your head
Yes.
that a person doesn't like me, then that person could be looking at you with a blank stare, and you could still see
Something
something,
bad in that.
right?
Exactly.
And it's really funny because we also talk about this for darshan.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people do darshan and they feel the murti is smiling at them,
Yes.
and it's usually because internally they're in a good
That
place in
connection.
their
Yeah.
spiritual place,
Yeah.
and sometimes they feel like the murti is bland, and it's also because internally they
Yeah.
kind of feel like
There's
bland about it.
it's cool you mentioned that. There's a Kishore when I was a yuwak, and whenever he's in front of Bakaji Maharaj's murti, he goes, Swami, we're always having a conversation, right? They're always talking, right? But it's that connection. It's
Yeah.
that positive vibes that he feels and the mahima that he has with Bhagaji Maharaj, that allows him to feel that strong connection. And he's having a conversation, and you see it. Like I've no one time I actually happened to just be there when he's in front of Bhagaji Maharaj's murti, and his smile is different.
He's just beaming.
He's
Yeah.
in that mental state with Bhagaji Maharaj. And definitely, right? It's satsang is also mental, right? Mansarmat says that himself, right? That satsang is 99 or 90% mental,
Yeah.
right? Rather than physical. And it's the way we're also perceiving our relationship with our guru, with Maharaj. And the more positive that is, and all these things impact that. If we're thinking good of Hari Bhaktos, we're thinking good of all situations in satsang. Because when you're in satsang, yeah, you're going to have situations that may not seem ideal. Like somebody might yell at you or might say something to you that you don't like. But that, I personally feel, is done intentionally
Mm.
because Swami is testing your swabha. He's
Mm.
helping you to become better. Now, you can look at that negatively, though. Why did this person say this to me? Or you can look at that as, Bappa, thank you. Thank you for giving me this experience to test me to become better.
Mm.
Right? So you could take that same moment positively or negatively, but it's all based on your perspective. So if you're doing these exercises of seeing good in situation, seeing good in all Hari Bhakta, seeing good in, maybe even playing in your mind situation that might happen at mandir, but seeing the good in that. So then when that situation may happen, instead of getting upset or telling 5 people that why did that person do this to me, you're now enjoying that moment. You're
Mm.
progressing from that moment. And that actually shows the depth of your satsang.
I think like that the biggest thing I've kind of found challenging in satsang is to actively take responsibility.
Mm.
Like I feel like a number of my conversations inside of satsang with santos and haribhaktas over the last few years, but even in just in the span of doing these sorts of conversations,
Yeah.
like the thing that everything seems to come back to this idea of ownership,
Mm.
and it feels like a lot of times people think in the world as well, and in satsang as well, that taking ownership is onerous, because taking ownership is taking guilt and
Mm.
blame,
Mm.
right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
but that means everything's my fault,
Yeah.
right? Well, no, it's not about fault finding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking ownership is accepting agency.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging
Correct.
your own power and
Yeah.
ability. It's empowering to say that you have the ability to make yourself and your situation better.
Mm-hmm.
But we find that, I find that challenging,
Yeah.
is to actually actively take ownership over every situation, right? So like Pratham 70 to me
Yeah.
is a very powerful Vachamrit, because Bhagwan Samnar in that Vachamrit says, like, look, just keep up the good fight. And
Yeah.
as long as you keep up the good fight,
Yes.
like, we're behind you and you
Exactly.
will win. And he
Yes.
quotes the Gita there to say that, wherever God is and wherever the Bhakta is, that's where victory is, and that's where everything, prosperity is, and that's where everything is.
Yes.
But to keep up the good fight, you've got to take that responsibility,
Ability.
because he says basically everything you consume and everything that you do externally is impacting your inside and your kind of your peace and within.
Yeah.
But that means I'm responsible for every action, and that responsibility seems really hard. But what you're saying is, all of these people, like we said earlier, they've aligned a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and they've taken ownership, or they're learning to take ownership over every situation, to say each situation's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I cannot be forced by nature or situation
Correct.
to do anything.
Yes.
I always am empowered
Correct.
to choose my own happiness.
And that strengthens their trust in Bhagwan. It strengthens their faith, knowing that whatever God is doing, whatever Bhagwan's doing, is for my benefit. Right? In this process, they realize that Bhagwan is always with them. It strengthens that faith. And so then as they keep progressing in their day-to-day life, that shanti is there because their connection with Bhagwan is stronger.
So you started with these kind of homework bits and these basic values.
Yeah.
And then where does it go?
And then from there, then we go into different types of like meditation, basically. And we do just like we do in puja, where you recite the Om. So I explained to them briefly the benefit of Om and what Om is. And then they go into that, they love it, right? They really feel a connection when they're saying it. They feel vibrations inside. They feel different. And so they start, and then they start doing that on their own at their pace. Typically I tell them try to do it once or twice, or especially before anything stressful that they feel they're going to be going into, to the point where then it just kind of everything is just at a great pace, right, where there's less stress that they're feeling, and then kind of going into being more conscious of what you're kind of feeding yourself. So just like when you're eating something, you wouldn't eat something that is spoiled, or something that's gonna not be sit well with your stomach. In the same way with their eyes, our ears, all of our five senses, what are we eating? Like, what are we watching with their eyes? What are we hearing with their ears? Being very intentional with that, because many times it's because of the things we're reading that's giving us the bad thoughts we're having. Or on the flip side, that we're reading that's giving us the thoughts that we want to have, which is positive. So being much more conscious of what you're listening to, watching everything, tasting, smelling, touching, and they see the difference. They see that when they're being more focused on that and looking at the things that are positive, taking out the things that are negative, it's allowing them to control their mind better, allowing them to control their thoughts better. And one of the Swami Matos that come up quite a bit, I mentioned to them કે કેટલાકને મન રમાડે છે, કેટલાક મનને રમાડે છે. આ વાત તો નિત્ય વિચારવા જેવી છે. And it's a different concept for them, but they get it. They really start understanding that, hey, I want to control my mind. I don't want my mind controlling me. And the more you can kind of control your mind better, of course, through having more faith in Bhagwan as well, they're able to feel that shanti more. and be in control, see everything as opportunities, as we talked about, see good in everyone rather than letting the circumstances affect them. And so once we kind of dive into that, and if I feel that they're really going strong with this, then we even go to a little bit deeper, which is analyzing swabhavas, right? Because anger, lust, greed, jealousy, ego, these are all things that also can mentally distract us or mentally put us in a very bad place. And so we kind of dissect each of these
The
according.
root causes of misery.
Exactly. You can't just jump into that at the beginning. So kind of progress them to this, and they love it. It's depths that they've never really thought about, especially when they talk about ego. Because one thing I have noticed with pretty much everyone, all these individuals, no matter whether they're an athlete, an executive, a coach, they're very down to earth, humble people. No doubt they're on TV, they're, whatever it might be, they're out there, they're celebrities, etc. But a lot of them just want to be themselves. They don't want to be a celebrity. They don't want to be the guy that, millions of people are following. They just want to be just themselves. People that want to help others, people that honestly, genuinely want to be good human beings and do something good for the benefit of others. So
Is that because they kind of recognize how much, chance and these things or have a part in their lives, right? Like that.
yeah,
It's hard to be the one out of a million kids who makes it to that spot, right?
they definitely understand that. And kind of like what you talked about, many of them, they take that responsibility that, you know what, I've been blessed by God to be in this situation. I want to use my platform now to help others. Right. So they happily take the responsibility rather than feeling the pressure. They want to use their platform to do, good social cause or whatever it might be. Pretty much all of them have their own type of nonprofit or foundation that they're very passionate about and they want to give, and they do give. And they, obviously it's not portrayed in the media how much they're giving or what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they're doing a lot. They're making a difference. And they believe very passionately in that. Like there's a very well-known singer, and he has his nonprofit called Tattvamasi, and he recently announced that he's not going to be singing as for like Bollywood or for other things, and even the concerts he's done has pretty much been reduced very minimally now. But his focus is how can I help educate the kids in my village. He's very well known, makes lots of money, has millions of followers, but he doesn't stay in Mumbai. He stays in his village in Jiaganj, right? Very down to earth guy. Doesn't have. If you look at what he wears, you would never recognize that this guy or think that this guy is somebody. But his focus is how can I help educate? How can I help them in sports? How can I help them in the arts? It's all about what can I do for others. And it's great to see that they're taking the responsibility in a great way like this. But it's basically taking satsang concepts and helping them break down these swabhavas, and that brings a lot more clarity to them. They open up on situations that they've gone through, that anger came up or jealousy came up or ego came up, and they start realizing, you know what, if I had done this, basically what Swami teaches us, then this situation would never have escalated to this level, right? That my relationship with this person would have been so much better, or whatever the case might be. But it's again, satsang. If we do the concepts and follow the concepts the Swami is teaching us, just as these guys are experiencing, we'll experience the same benefits.
And I think that's a really important, like, I'm really happy you made the time today to talk about this a little bit, because for people like me, I think what this helps do is realize that this is not some sort of lofty idealism, right? Like, this is stuff that has real impact, is practicable, can be done in a normal part of life.
100%.
Everything from the sthiti of the Satpurush, right? Which we're told, right? Like liberation, moksha is available to us right now.
Yes.
Like in this next second, it's available to us. And we can be just like him. All the way to the Sadguru Santos and the really spiritually enlightened people that we kind of see living amongst us. They're also great evidences of how genuine effort can lead to this kind of spiritual enlightenment. And then also I feel like these types of stories add to that list, right? Of saying that, okay, look, even if you can't do everything at once, right? Like
Yeah.
none of the people that you're mentioning, and I don't know any of them. Obviously, we've not sat here talking about names, which I'm happy
Yes.
about. But it's like when we talk about any of the people that you may have been thinking of, I doubt they're following every single niyam
Yeah.
and following every little part of praxis. But
Yeah.
the point is that I think that's the full spectrum that I find useful, is to say, look, even people who are taking a nugget or two or
Mhm.
three or five
Yeah.
are seeing such big benefits,
Correct. Correct.
all the way to people who are doing every part of this sadhana, this praxis, right, in a very, very kind of scriptural integrity way.
Hmm.
You get sthiti like the Sadguru Santos.
Yeah.
That whole massive variety of experience, I think, is something that I hope to kind of tap into, to kind of tell myself to work a little bit harder
Yeah. For all
at
of
doing
us.
some of these
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it kind of feels like, yeah, this is fantastic. This is an ideal, but
Yeah.
ideals are ideals,
Correct.
right? Like, but no, here it is. Like people taking these small things, like the
Yeah.
person you mentioned in the beginning, like saying that Mahant Swami said to look at the greatness of others, and
Yeah.
now he sets up a mini World Cup for his the village kids. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's sort of, but and it's not just that the event is awesome, but
Yeah.
it's that the entire
The care.
the
Yeah.
ecosystem of everybody involved getting that positive experience out of
Yes.
this
Yes.
from one thought.
It makes them feel valued, right? It
Mm,
made those kids feel valued, not that, oh, I'm missing out or I can't go to a game, but he recreated for them, right? To
mm,
feel like they're a part of the game. But the value and the care and the love and affection that we've experienced through our Samagama Swami, right?
mm,
Through following what he says, you also feel that. You feel that warmth, you feel that peace, you feel that shanti, right? So when we also listen to what he says, as Maharaj has written in the Vachanamrit as well, okay, Swadharmanishta and Swarupanishta and Swadharmanishta, that when you follow what he says, you feel that closeness,
mhm,
right? So, that is the definition of Dharpriti. Okay, those that follow the Marji of Maharaj and Swami and do what they say, no matter if you're 1,000 miles away, you feel like you're right next to them.
mm.
And so that's the same thing
You're
here.
playing with God.
Basically, and
Mm,
actually that's one of the things, it's funny you mentioned that. That's one of the concepts as well that we've kind of talked about with some of these players, is that when you're out there to relieve some of the pressure, just make it your devotion,
mm.
because again a lot of them are devoted to their faiths, which is great. They
Karma matra bhakti rupa, as Maharaj says.
100%,
Yeah.
right? They believe in Bhagwan, and so when they're out there playing basketball or playing football or playing cricket or whatever it might be, I tell them, play with God, have fun, right? It relieves that pressure that I got to score this many points, or, I don't like that team, or, it's a game 7, or what do we do? They're just, they're their natural selves. And when they're their natural selves, that's when they perform at their best level.
Mm,
But beyond the performance, it's just a shanti.
mm,
It's the peace. And it's what we've learned, right? Make everything you do a nirgun karma, right? Do everything you do with Maharaj and Swami. Enjoy it, right? And so they do that when they're out there. And some of them have even started doing that just on a daily basis, right? One of the guys that I spoke to, on a similar note, he told me, the Swami, even when I'm stopped at a red light, I do the breathing exercises. He goes, I don't close my eyes. And I said, you shouldn't, right? When you're driving. But he goes, it gives me so much peace when I do the Om,
yeah.
right? And obviously, like, Om is Akshar,
Mm.
right? So some of these guys have made it so sahajik in their day-to-day lives and what they do, and they're seeing direct benefit to it.
So we like to think this stuff is really hard, but it's really not,
It's
isn't it?
not.
You just have
It's
to
not.
you just have to do it.
It's putting in the effort. See,
Just,
these guys, they're used to hard work, right?
mm,
One thing we don't realize about
discipline,
athletes, discipline,
discipline.
is we see them on TV, we see them on, oh, he's got this much money and this and that.
We see them at their best and we see
Yeah,
them at their worst.
yeah,
We don't
100%.
see them every
All the
day.
middle of
Yeah.
how early they have to wake up, how grueling the traveling schedule is, how they have to be very careful and disciplined to what they're eating, how much, like, as you said, discipline.
Mm,
It's tough for us to have that discipline. We like to make excuses. Whereas these guys, they enjoy that discipline.
mm.
And because they're disciplined, they're able to make these steps, as Swami has told us, into a regular part of their life. And they're enjoying the benefits of it. So it's kind of like what Swami says, if we really want to do it, we can. and will enjoy it, and truly feel the sukh of satsang. Right? We see sometimes people say, Swami, I've been in satsang all these years. I don't experience the benefit. The benefit's there.
Mm.
You have to put in the effort. Right? And when you do, you see the difference. So these guys put in the effort and they're experiencing the difference of these concepts that Maharaj and Swami teach us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan, for making out the time. I really appreciate it.